Welcome to Titan Tuition, specialist tuition from highly experienced heads of departments and senior examiners. If an inspector course feels confusing, don't worry. This clear overview will guide you through the key events of the play, act by act, focusing on each character's interrogation, in preparation for GCSE English Literature. Let's get started. Act 1. The Celebration Interrupted. The play is set in 1912, a time of rigid class division and strong capitalist values. The Birling family are celebrating Sheila Birling's engagement to Gerald Croft, symbolising wealth, privilege and social ambition. The mood is one of confidence and self-importance, especially as Mr. Birling lectures the young characters about business, success and self-reliance. Priestley uses this moment to expose the arrogance of the upper class before introducing conflict. The arrival of Inspector Goole immediately disrupts the celebration. His role is to challenge the family's beliefs and force them to confront the consequences of their actions. He announces that a working-class woman, Eva Smith, has died by suicide. Mr. Birling's interrogation. Mr. Birling admits he dismissed Eva from his factory after she led a strike for higher wages. Mr. Birling represents capitalist ideology and the older generation's belief in individualism. He views Eva as a replaceable labour rather than a human being, showing how economic power dehumanizes workers. Priestley uses dramatic irony. Birling confidently predicts peace and prosperity, yet the audience knows that war and economic collapse are imminent. This undermines his authority and suggests that his values are flawed and dangerous. Birling's refusal to accept responsibility reinforces Priestley's criticism of selfish capitalism. Sheila Birling's interrogation. Sheila realizes she had Eva fired from a shop after abusing her social status when she felt jealous. Sheila's actions reveal how class privilege allows even young women to wield destructive power. However, unlike her parents, Sheila immediately feels guilt and remorse. Priestley uses Sheila to represent hope and moral progress. Her willingness to accept blame and challenge her parents shows that society can change if individuals acknowledge their responsibility. Sheila's development begins here, marking her as a moral contrast to the older generation. Act 2. Responsibility spreads. By Act 2, the inspector's investigation has unsettled the family and created clear tension. It becomes obvious that Eva's death was not caused by one person alone, but by a series of connected actions, with each character playing a part in her downfall. Gerald Croft's interrogation. Gerald admits he had an affair with Eva, who was calling herself Daisy Renton, and supported her financially for a short period. Gerald's relationship with Eva highlights the unequal power between men and women, and between the upper and working classes in Edwardian society. Although he helps Eva at first, Gerald is always in control of the relationship and ends it when it suits him, leaving Eva vulnerable again. Priestley suggests that helping someone without treating them as an equal is still a form of exploitation. Gerald's later attempts to prove the inspector is not real shows that he wants to avoid blame, which supports Priestley's criticism of how the upper class can escape responsibility for their actions. Mrs. Birling's interrogation. Mrs. Birling reveals she refused Eva help from a charity when Eva was pregnant and desperate. Mrs. Birling represents moral hypocrisy and class prejudice. Despite leading a charity, she lacks empathy and judges Eva harshly, believing the poor are responsible for their own suffering. Priestley uses dramatic irony when Mrs. Birling insists that the father of the child should be punished, unaware that she is condemning her own son. Her rigid morality exposes the cruelty of social systems that claim to be charitable but ultimately protect the wealthy. Act 3. The Final Truth. Act 3 brings the investigation to its climax, forcing the family to confront the full extent of their involvement in Eva's downfall. Eric Birling's interrogation. Eric admits he got Eva pregnant and stole money to support her. Eric's actions show what can happen when someone has privilege but lacks maturity. Although he makes serious mistakes, Eric is honest about what he has done and feels real guilt. Priestley presents Eric as a flawed character who still understands right from wrong, suggesting that taking responsibility is more important than protecting your reputation. By challenging his parents' attitudes and accepting blame, Eric represents the younger generation and Priestley's hope that society can change. Inspector Goole, Priestley's voice. The inspector delivers Priestley's central message: we are members of one body. Inspector Goole represents society's moral awareness and authority. Through his questioning, he shows how individual actions can combine to cause serious harm to others, and he warns of future suffering if people refuse to learn from their mistakes. His unclear identity suggests he's more than just a policeman. Instead, he acts as a moral voice, guiding both the characters and the audience towards Priestley's message about responsibility. The twist ending, a final warning. After the inspector leaves, the family begin to question whether the inspector was genuine. Mr. and Mrs. Birling feel relieved, focusing on avoiding scandal rather than reflecting on their actions. In contrast, Sheila and Eric maintain their guilt, reinforcing Priestley's generational message. The final phone call announcing a real inspector arriving to investigate a young woman's death transforms the ending into a cyclical structure, symbolizing inevitable consequences. Priestley warns that society cannot escape responsibility simply by denying wrongdoing. In conclusion, an inspector causes a morality play that criticizes selfish behavior, class inequality, and a lack of responsibility. Priestley contrasts characters who deny blame with those who accept it, and shows that real change comes through understanding rather than punishment. Through Eva Smith's suffering, the play argues that society can only improve when people recognize their shared humanity and take responsibility for one another. If you found this helpful, make sure you follow Titan Tuition for more expert GCSE English revision. Thanks for watching.